Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice radio, so today we're going to be looking at a new GX card. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Xerneas GX having been revealed, and you know what? It's always a good day when we've got a new GX card to talk about. Now, Xerneas is a fairy Pokemon, which is quite nice. At least until the rotation, you do have access to Fairy Garden, giving free retreat, and Fairy Drop to heal a little bit of extra damage. And as we're going to talk about as we go through this video, fairy Pokemon, you gotta think about Gardevoir. Firstly, it's just a good attacker. Secondly, the Secret Spring ability allows you to attach an extra fairy energy during your turn, but not just to Gardevoir, to any of your Pokemon. So, shall we say Gardevoir's always something to bear in mind here. And because we don't mention it all that often, how about also mentioning Comfy? If you're worried about special conditions and you're running a fairy Pokemon like Xerneas, Comfy just might be what you're looking for. In terms of hitting for weakness, you are hitting weakness against Dragon Pokemon. Dialga GX really is probably the only relevant one at the moment, but you never know what might come out in the future. And in terms of Metal Dex, there's not a huge amount at the moment. The new Solgaleo is going to be coming out, but possibly not till October. That's going to be a real bad thing for this, but we're alright. For now, until it comes out, in which case it might all be over. And I did do a video about Diantha yesterday, which is a great supporter that helped these fairy decks, so go check that one out. I'll pop a link in the description, but it was literally like 2 videos ago. And yeah, it's all quite good. You've got some nice little tricks for fairy Pokemon. Now, a retreat cost of 2 is the worst in the game, which is a little bit sad, and 180 HP is, to be honest, incredibly standard for a basic GX. It's not up there with something like Buzzwole, little bit sad, but otherwise it's a pretty standard HP, to be perfectly honest with you. And I suppose I should quickly mention the resistance to darkness, which on the one hand seems pretty good, but the main darkness Pokemon at the moment is Zoroark. Zoroark's going to be doing 120 with a full bench, so even with resistance, it's going to go from a 2-hit KO to a 2-hit KO. Nice to have the resistance, but at least in the format we're in at the moment, it's not going to make a huge difference. Now, it is a GX, so we have free abilities / attacks. In this case, it's just free attacks. And the first one is, alright, 1 fairy energy, 20 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Little bit of a downside here, of course, is that you cannot do 20 to the active. Sometimes you might want to. I mean, for argument's sake, let's say you put a Choice Band on Xerneas. You would then be able to do 100 to an active Dialga with weakness and Choice Band. But you're not actually able to do that. So it's maybe not the best thing ever. It's going to be an occasionally useful attack. There will be the odd turn here or there where your opponent has a Pokemon on the bench with 10 or 20 HP remaining, in which case this could be a mildly useful attack. But all in all, it's not a great attack. It's not going to see much use. It's one of those attacks that you bear in mind. There will be the odd game here or there where you use it. You need to remember it for when those games come along. But generally speaking, it's not something you're going to use very often. Second attack here, fairy colourless, 120 damage. No tricks, no special things at all, to be perfectly honest. Just a flat 120 for free energy. Now, of course, at this stage, I am contractually obliged to remind you that this is significantly better than Charizard GX. All in all, it's alright. I mean, it's one of those classic attacks that will get a 2-hit KO on anything that isn't weak, and a 1-hit KO on anything that is. So something like a Dialga will go down to this very, very quickly. What is annoying, and this is a theme that we've been seeing over the last few months in the Pokemon trading card game, is that 130 and 120, there's a key number going on here. So for instance, if we look at something like Volcanion, or something like Registeel, there's plenty of others, but they will serve as examples for the time being. There are a whole bunch of Pokemon around at the moment that have 130 HP. And there is a big difference between 130 and 120. Hitting 130 is significantly better. Only hitting 120 here is a little bit of a pain. This is an I can one-hit KO a Dialga kind of attack, but then again, so can Dedenne that we looked at the other day. So I'm not 100% sure it's the best reason to play this. It's fine. It's not a bad attack. but it's not the best reason to play. Now, of course, you can't use double colourless energy to pay the cost of this attack, which is kind of annoying, but let's face it, Xerneas is a basic Pokemon. Basic Pokemon are good because they are incredibly easy to go and chuck into random decks that you feel like. So, of course, Gardevoir springs to mind here. Or should I say, Secret springs to mind. Because of course you get to attach extra fairy energy with the ability once per turn per Gardevoir. So actually here it's not the hardest cost to meet. What is still kind of annoying though is if you use one Secret Spring plus your energy attachment for the turn, that's not actually going to go and get all the energy you need here. You will need 2 Secret Springs, or already have to have an energy on there, or play something like a Max Elixir here just to get the free energy on in one turn, which is, shall we say, less than ideal. The attack is fine, but it's not amazing. What I do like, however, is the GX attack, which I'm just going to say flat out right now is a reason to play this. Now, the fact that it is a basic Pokemon really helps because it's a single card in your deck. And for a fairy colourless, it says move all damage counters from all of your Pokemon to your opponent's active Pokemon. You get to completely heal all of your Pokemon while moving the damage onto your opponent. Yeah, it's kind of like Alolan Ninetales GX's GX attack, except it's from all of your Pokemon, not just your active, and it's on a basic Pokemon, but then again Alolan Ninetales could do it for a double colourless. You need a fairy colourless. Either way, this is just utterly wonderful. This is one of the best GX attacks we've had so far, and I feel very confident saying that. Your opponent could do 120 damage onto 4 of your Pokemon, and you could then heal all of them in one go while taking a KO. There's plenty of Pokemon out there at the moment like Zoroark GX, like Golisopod GX, that do 120 damage. Which, as we've already discussed in this very video, is not always enough to actually go and get a KO on a lot of stuff. And what you really do with Xerneas is you say to your opponent, look, if you don't play something like a Guzma to get a one-hit KO, then there's nothing you can do. I mean, let's take a Golisopod against a Gardevoir. Golisopod is 2-hit KOing a Gardevoir. So they do 120. If they don't have a Guzma next turn and just do another 120, you can completely heal both the attacks they've just done while taking a 2-prize KO on that Golisopod. And as far as I'm concerned, for the GX attack alone, this goes straight into a Gardevoir GX deck. Just flat out go straight into it. And to be honest, any fairy deck, now you will need a little bit of energy acceleration, whether it's Gardevoir, whether it's something like Max Elixir, you will need a bit of fairy acceleration here. But as far as I'm concerned, this goes straight in because the GX attack here is absolutely great. I'm a huge fan of it. Completely healing all of your Pokemon plus taking a KO. And might I remind you, completely healing all of your Pokemon. I mean, the other deck that really springs to mind here is a Xerneas Break deck. We've seen that see a bit of play over the last couple of years. And again, it's a Pokemon with 130 HP. And it's a non-GX, so there's none of this choice band malarkey. So there's going to be plenty of times when you're playing, when your opponent doesn't take a KO on your Xerneas, you might have 3 or 4 Xerneas sitting on the bench not quite KO'd. In comes Xerneas GX, you completely heal all of them while taking a big KO. Now, as a side note here, you cannot break evolve Xerneas GX. It's Xerneas Break, not Xerneas GX Break. So they don't evolve from the same Pokemon. But it does mean that you can play 4 Xerneas Break, 4 Xerneas GX, and 4 Xerneas if you so please. The first attack here is mildly useful. The second attack is a very standard attack, which, to be honest, if you're playing a Xerneas deck or a Gardevoir deck, you've got better attacking options than this second attack. But it's a basic Pokemon, meaning it's a single card in your deck. It doesn't take much to actually tech this into a fairy deck like Xerneas, like Gardevoir, and this GX attack is nuts. We like Alolan Ninetales GX. It has seen play, and one of the reasons has been the GX attack. This is a significantly better version because it heals all of your Pokemon, and It's on a basic Pokemon. I know I've mentioned that a couple times, but it really does bear repeating. For that reason, I'm giving Xerneas 4 Wassies, because as much as I absolutely adore the GX attack, I am, of course, willing to admit that the other attacks on Xerneas GX just plain aren't good, and you're going to have better options. But for the GX attack alone, I believe this will be teched into pretty much all fairy decks. In a Gardevoir deck, you've got to question whether you need to use Twilight GX or whether you can afford to use Xerneas' GX attack. But then again, Twilight GX recovers cards, and oh yeah, Diantha that came out yesterday is another way of recovering cards in fairy decks. It's almost like they're saying, hey, don't worry about Twilight GX, here's Diantha to recover cards, here is a better GX attack. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. Do you think this is better than Twilight GX? Do you think this will go into Xerneas decks? Do you think it will go into Gardevoir decks? Let me know. Go nuts, but be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action over at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, you can do so by going to patreon.com/PTCGRadio. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.